Yeah, what's poppin' pumpkin heads? It's your boy Sweet Lou back again with some enclosure progress. Today I decided to reinforce my fragile poles. So I have these um, black poles that were from a uh, tent that I've cannibalized. They're very, very strong. They're in this purple line puts their little footprint together, and this brick is dangerously load bearing. It keeps tension on there. I need to fix that at some point. And then I tried to communicate the strength of that black pole to the other poles, and it made a sort of pumpkin shape. Let's see if you can see the whole thing. Made the whole structure sort of pumpkin shaped. Um, but then in the course of doing that, one of them popped open and it flung a pole, and I realized that if there's unless there's positive tension from end to end inside those flimsy poles, they will they'll fall apart and they'll break apart. There's no internal tension like in tent poles where they have an elastic cord that keeps them sort of clung together. So I thought I'd simulate that by using my own elastic string and some like grippy wire. So I went through and attached grippy wire to each of these joints and then tied it down with elastic so that throughout the whole pole it now has it has tension holding it together. So if the wind blows really hard and the poles want to break apart, they'll be held together with this elastic. So hopefully it'll make it much more durable in case somebody bumps into it. The whole thing doesn't collapse and just adds to the general strength that I'm building into this sort of pumpkin shape. Those little domes don't need it. They're very strong. And then I started thinking about the door. That same tent I cannibalized also had internal doors like this one. They were meant just for inside, not for outside, and they were to separate little rooms of the tent from each other, and they were meant to fit these gray poles. So I took out the gray pole, made a little square for them, and then put that tent together there. The placement for it may seem a little odd off to the side like that, but um, those flaps themselves block a lot of sunlight. They're translucent, but I don't know if you can photosynthesize through them, and you definitely can't see through them. So I didn't want it to be in the obvious place, which is right down the pipe looking at the pumpkin. So I put them off to the side where they do block a little bit of light, but it's only in the late afternoon, and that's not good growing light anyways. So I feel like it does the least amount of damage and sort of hides the entrance off to the side and forces us to come close to this tree, which will help us keep that tree pared back because it will shade the pumpkin, and it'd be really easy to just let it get out of order. Okay, so I've got the general skeleton. So the black poles, very strong. Gray poles, very strong. The little domes, very strong. And the sort of superstructure, the pumpkin-shaped flimsy poles, made less flimsy with all these poles. Yeah, this elastic going all the way up and trying to hold those together. So if it does get bumped and damaged, it'll probably just snap closed on itself and it'll wiggle, but it won't completely fly apart, which is great. So I woke up and I had this word preventer stays in my head, which is, oh, there's a little squirrel, just got scared, which is from my naval novels. It's when you have a really important line that holds like a mast up. There's one line that holds it up and it's got a lot of tension, and sometimes they'll run a second line along the same path, doesn't hold all the tension, but it's there in case the first one snaps and breaks. It's called a preventer stay. So that's what I did right here. This one line in the middle let's see, this one line in the middle is actually holding all the tension. That's this one little line is what's communicating all the strength from the black poles to the flimsy white poles. It leverages, it sort of cantilevers it up and forces a lot of strength on there, but it's just kitchen twine. So I put this one, this second loop around it as a preventer stay. So in case that snaps, or when that snaps, I should say, there's a second one there to take it. You know, because the whole summer getting sun and rained on, it's not gonna last. Yeah, but this is really nice. I liked all the new elastics met in almost a point, which is pretty satisfying. But yeah, so they should. This is getting kind of complicated, but cool looking. So it should have some strength. It bends a little, you know, in weird ways, but I think it overall is strong. Tonight we got a frost warning. The weather's been changing a lot in the prediction. Today I let it stay under the greenhouse all day long. I got my soil thermometer, new one in the mail, but I also got my old one working. So I got the soil up to about 95, which is hot. But then I covered it in a blanket and hopefully it'll maintain some of that all the way and it won't get lower than 70. I'm gonna check it tomorrow morning, and then maybe tomorrow I'll take the the clear tarp, sort of greenhouse tarp, off of it and let it just air out. I might water it again, which will cool it down again. Yeah, but hopefully the seeds don't mind being up all the way at 95. I know ideal germination is like 80, 85 degrees. But we'll see. Yeah, so next up is trying to think about getting bird netting on here and actually enclosing this. I don't think I need much more strength, but there's some weird, actually getting cloth on here will make some very weird billowing sails. And I remember last year I had to run a lot of line around it to make like ribs to keep the sail like sides from moving in and touching the pumpkin, because it'll disrupt the leaves and they might want to try to grab onto it, and if it's billowing it'll rip it and damage it and pull it. So I'm going to think next about how to make that superstructure plump and wide all the way around. I don't have a great idea. Like a giant hula hoop would be awesome. One that was like 20 feet, 15, 20 feet across. But I don't know how to create that, and I'm kind of out of the flimsy stuff, so I couldn't make one. Anyways, it's a problem to solve another day. Uh, Thanks for sticking around with me as I slowly build this thing up. Talk to you later. Bye bye.